Item 2, approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, which was. What's the date on
April.
that? Oh, yeah, April 27th.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Craig, seconded by Newt, to approve the minutes from the April Plan Commission meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 3 is public input. If this is the time, if anyone from the public would like to address the Plan Commission, if you would like to do so, please start out by stating your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to address the commission? Second call. If anyone would like to address the Plan Commission this evening, this is the time to do so. Last chance. If anyone would like to address the committee, now is the time to do so. Public input is now closed. We will move on for consideration and possible action on the following items. Item 4 is a public hearing taking place at approximately 7 p.m. or immediately following the public input of Marketplace Development Phase 2 Planned Commercial Industrial District amendment application to construct a new freestanding sign filed by La Crosse Sign Company on behalf of Troy Mueller of Ashley Real Estate LLC, 1 Ashley Way, Arcadia, Wisconsin, 54618, and Marvin Wanderers of 2928 MP LLC, 1243 Badger Street, PO Box 609, La Crosse, Wisconsin, 54601, on the parcels located at 2906 Marketplace and 2928 Marketplace, Alaska, Wisconsin, 54650. These are tax parcel ID numbers 18-3635-12 and 18-3635-13. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this Phase 2 Planned Commercial Industrial District Amendment? Now is the time to do so. Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
My name is James Fuchsel. I'm from La Crosse Sign Company. Ashley Furniture is my client, and I'm here representing them tonight. Ashley Furniture came to me after they moved into their location, addressed the need for more signage, more visibility from where they're at. They wanted to get some interstate exposure because it was important for the success of their business there. And the location that they were in was the original Toys R Us building, which you all know is vacated, and their old sign is still up there today. And they wanted to go on that same spot that they are in. So they came to us to design a sign that was effective for that location. The sign that is currently there is about 30 foot tall, and it sits down below the interstate and is covered by a lot of trees that are along the interstate that cannot be cut down because they're on the right of way. So at 30 foot, that sign, the existing sign, was kind of hidden, so we designed a sign at 45 foot, kept it within what's allowed on the sign as for the city sign ordinance. And Ashley approved the look of it and wanted to get this amended, this PCID amended, so they could put their sign in place of Toys R Us pylon sign in that same location. So I'm here tonight asking you to amend that, the PCID, to allow them to go in there to put a pylon sign for interstate exposure, to give them that necessary stuff so they can, help become successful at that location.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of amending the planned commercial industrial district? This is the third and final call for anyone who would like to speak in favor of the amendment. That part of the public hearing is now closed, and now I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against this amendment. second call if anyone would like to speak against the amendment to the planned commercial industrial district. Third and final call for those wishing to speak against. The public hearing is now closed, and I'll refer to Katie to give us a brief summary of this item before we take it up with the planning commission. Katie?
Thank you, Mayor. As stated, the intention is to allow for the replacement of an existing off-premise sign. The previous tenant of the building had a sign located within an easement area. Ashley Home Store is requesting to replace the sign to reflect their brand. The proposed sign is in conformance with all aspects of the Title 14, excluding the portion excluding the portion that refers to the off-premise sign. This development is considered a major amendment to the PCID as the allowance of the off-premise sign was not included in the original development of the PCID. If it is approved by the Planning Commission and Common Council, we will record these conditions at the Register of Deeds in order to document the list for all future development. Included are locations of the proposed sign, the existing sign, and what the new sign will look like. In particular, pertaining to signage, the applicant is requesting to replace the existing ground sign, which is again going to be in conformance with our sign code regulating ground signs. City staff are in support of this request as it appears to be intended to be in the original PCID approval from 1997. Had the applicant simply refaced the sign, we would not have required this to occur. But since they're intending to replace an older, lesser structure with a new sign that adhere to all other steps, this is going to require an amendment to the PCID. Also, it will further document the fact that this proposed off-premise sign is allowable within this district, which is not there today. Included in the conditions of approval, there are 8 put forth by staff. I'd like to draw your attention to condition number 8, which is the PCID amendment request. Specifically, that the owner developer is allowed to replace and construct a new ground freestanding sign to advertise businesses located at 2906 Marketplace on 2928 Marketplace within the existing easement area as shown in the attached site plan. I draw your attention to this. If you are going to approve this and allow the sign to occur, I would recommend approving with the 8 conditions as shown. If you do not want to approve this, I would recommend modifying condition number 8 to reflect any verbiage. So then that way we have it clear for the record what the asks are from the developer. Just let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you for that, Katie. I'll turn this matter over to the planning commission.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Marketplace Development Phase 2 Planned Commercial Industrial Development PCID Amendment Application to construct a new freestanding sign filed by La Crosse Sign Company with the 8 conditions and the details noted in agenda number 4.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Tom, seconded by Craig, to approve the amendment to the planned commercial industrial district with the 8 conditions. Is there discussion? Craig?
Just a couple of questions, and it doesn't pertain specifically to what we're reviewing, but it pertains to that site. How long does an MD get to keep a sign up after they vacate? Because Toys R Us has been gone for quite some time.
Correct. We did work with Toys R Us when they originally vacated. It took them some time. It is supposed to be within 6 months. This is a new addition to the sign code, so we're actively working and seeking out these entities. We're asking them to either flip the sign or paint it black or do something to no longer advertise a business that is not there.
And the second question, maybe Joe has an answer. How do we allow commercial entities within the city of Onalaska to enjoy visibility along that interstate when the DOT doesn't maintain tree trimming or any of that stuff? And there's a lot of areas like that I see everywhere.
I do believe if the entity requests a permit from the DOT, they will allow you to trim trees for sign clearance on the right of way. You must request a permit and get it approved. I think they will allow that in certain circumstances from what I've seen in the past.
It would be nice to know that, just for our information. Because I can foresee that could be a problem in some of the areas that we have jurisdiction on. Thank you.
I have one question. A common complaint that I hear from citizens is that they can see these type of signs from their homes. So with this going up an additional 15 feet, do we anticipate much impact on any neighborhoods?
Based on the location of where this particular area is, the closest is Elmwood. Property that's north off of Larkspur Lane in terms of being the closest residence. With the location of where Home Depot is and the size of that structure, and also the two buildings that are there with the current Ashley Home Store and the mini mall, so to say, I don't believe it'll be as intrusive. However, they will have to adhere to our light standards. So at the property line, if measured, they'd have to make sure that they're meeting those. There is such thing as ambient light that even if it's not bright enough, it's still there. That is something that occurs, but in the same attempt, residences are located next to a major retail area, and that is something that needs to be considered when purchasing homes.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Anyone? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the amendment with the 8 conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for coming in this meeting.
Thank you for your time.
Item 5, certified survey map to reconfigure one existing parcel into 4 parcels filed by Kirk Stoa on behalf of Bothia Holdings LLC, North 6818 J.O. Johnson Road, Holman, Wisconsin 54636, for the parcel located at 512 4th Avenue North, Onalaska, Wisconsin 54650. This is tax parcel ID number 18-550-0. Katie, can you give us a brief summary of this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Bothia Holdings is looking to reconfigure one parcel into 4 parcels, with the existing residential home and outbuildings being located on the largest lot. And the 3 smaller lots would be available for future development. The total area of the parcel is 1.438 acres. As shown on the map, lot 1 will contain 0.67 acres, including the house and garage. Lot 2, 0.301, lot 3, 2.56, and lot 4 will contain also 2.56 acres. To note, lots 1 and 2 meet all the dimensional requirements for all permitted uses in the R3 district. Lot 3 and 4 meet all excluding apartments with residential support services and other permitted with standard uses. Therefore, on those 2 particulars in question, not all the uses will be allowed on the subject parcel. So this will be up to staff to work with the developer when it comes time to ensure that they're following the codes as required. To note, all of these are going to be or are zoned R3. So there is the potential to allow up to 8 units per newly created parcel. For this development. City staff has put together 8 conditions of approval tied to the certified survey map.
Thank you, Katie. It's the pleasure of the commission.
I don't want to make a motion.
We can make a motion for discussion, at least get it on the floor.
I'll make it.
Quick. I'm gonna make a motion to adopt the certified survey map as presented by staff with the 8 conditions. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Craig, seconded by Skip, to approve the certified survey map with the 8 conditions. Discussion.
Just as a note, if you look at condition 5, obviously this is the redevelopment area that we have already worked on and approved on. find quite sewer and water laterals into this area and get a stormwater management plan together. And also we'll have to submit those things to us, but I think it's doable with what I see here. So that's the reason we had condition number 5, and we're going to be pursuing those items for the site plan.
Thank you, Jen. Fred?
Yeah, I didn't exactly remember that, but that was kind of my stumbling block. Okay, thank you.
Jan?
There's a garage, detached, looks like a garage on the top of it. Is there a I just have 2 questions. Is there a residence upstairs on that? Or is it just 2 separate residences, or is that just a garage?
I believe it's a detached garage with previously a chicken coop.
It used to be chicken.
So, so as long as the accessory structure meets our physical structure, it would be possible for them to create an accessory dwelling unit.
A dwelling unit, yeah.
Provided it meets all of the city's regulations and requirements that are associated with that, but there is not one here today.
The doors and things. But anyway, my second question was, there are 2 antennas on that particular lot. One is freestanding, one is, well, I guess both are freestanding. Would those be removed?
I believe the applicant is here, who could answer that question on behalf of staff.
Please
Good
start with
evening.
your name and address.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Kirk, so I'm the applicant. And yes, the first question of the detached building is a garage. There isn't a dwelling there currently. It's just a 2-story garage, basically. And we've heard chicken coop and also dog kennel that they used in the past. And then regarding those antennas, yes, we'd like to take them down as soon as possible. We gotta make sure we can do that in a safe way, but the intent is to take both of those down.
Look like a chicken. Well maintained. Like the color.
I have a question for Jared or Katie. So do we have other, I'm just looking at the R3 and then the 0.25 acre lots, that seems small to me for a multifamily. Do we have other situations like this? Which is fresh in my mind.
One I think would think of would be Crosby Road, where traditional grades put in some 3plexes along Crosby Road, probably within the last 70 years. I didn't look up the exact acreage of those lots, but I would guess they're about the same size. The minimum lot size, I'm pretty sure we didn't change a whole lot in the code, but the minimum single family lot size is only 7,200 square feet. So if you think of it kind of in those regards, it gives you a little scale.
Yeah, that's what I was having trouble with, just visualizing.
R1.
Yeah, okay.
That would be for a single family home, but
These are.
so you've got that's 3 times the minimum lot size for an R1. So I don't think they're overly large, but I think they're with some design standards that they can make it work.
Maybe like a row house.
Correct,
home
correct. That's-
Style.
And that's what we believe they're intending of doing in the row house
Okay.
style development. So they will be dependent on what they end up doing, have to meet all the minimum lot areas. We specify 0 lot line versus attached row house, individual lots versus common lots. We have very specific standards they have to meet. Further, a minimum of 25% of each lot will have to go to the green space. So they will not be able to cover the entire parcel with units. So I believe that density in the lot size of coverage will actually govern how it can take as well.
Hey, Jared?
I think the other thing we must consider by serving that lot too is located because there's unique setbacks, because it's a 2 frontage lot. So that's usually a set, it's usually larger, but the setbacks are more. So your usable space probably in that lot is very similar to the other.
Okay. Any other questions or
I have a
comments?
question for Katie. I think we're not at that point now, but like, we've been through this before, where this is a neighborhood, houses all around it. So if we go into a multi-unit kind of thing, we would notify those people. Does that have the development time or not?
No, as the property is zoned,
It's already, so they
it's
don't,
already zoned.
it's
So
only if we were changing, right?
only if we were changing it. So there would be no required neighborhood notification for this. if they wanted to do anything of a 3 unit or greater, it would just be city staff site plan.
Okay, I remember, it's just much,
Yeah,
I just want to
yeah.
make sure we got it. Perfect.
Let's have a follow-up on that. Was this originally zoned R3 or was that changed with the new Unified Development Code?
That was changed with the new Unified Development Code. We did not have the R3 district prior to that. It was previously R2.
So, and there is R2, kind of, you want this across the street where the.
It's
condominiums-
almost fully surrounded by R2
Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
So the intent in that, a lot of in the same token, what we have with our R3 design standards is that it has to fit in with the character of the neighborhood in terms of the height of the building
Right.
and how they're being designed. And those have been shared with the applicant, so they know ahead of time what it is that they're intending to do.
And I guess I will just follow that up and hoping that the applicant has shared that with some of the neighbors who may or may not be aware.
No, there's been no conversation. No, there have not been conversations with neighbors yet because we don't have a final design. The first step is to get the certified survey map completed to know what we can do on a lot at the point that we would then come to the city for permitting. If that's a requirement, we can certainly talk to neighbors, but it's my understanding that the use has already been designated. So,
We have received various calls from the neighborhoods and survey markers went out.
Yes,
So
right.
they have been contacting us and asking us what it is and provided shareable information. We are sharing that with the neighbors and I believe that they're talking to each other. So there hasn't been a formal notification process, but informal has been occurring probably for the last month.
Okay, Jared?
One thing to know in the neighborhood, there's been a lot of different changes over the years. There's the condominium complex that's just to the north of this, or Quincy Street to the left. Bluebird Court was put in the late 80s, which is a duplex development, predominantly rental. And then if you go about 6 houses south on Fourth Avenue, there's actually an existing 8-unit row house there that they put in probably about 35 years ago. So it went into the neighborhood. So there are examples in this neighborhood of kind of mixed use already.
Thank you for that, Jared. Any other questions or comments? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, so the motion that we have on the floor is to approve the certified survey map with the 8 conditions. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for coming in, sir.
thank you.
Item 6, discussion related to enforcement of design standards in the medium density residential R3, high density residential R4, mixed use neighborhood MUN, and mixed use community MUC zoning districts. Katie, educate us.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you've noticed, with the creation of the new UDC, we created some new zoning districts, in particular our 2 mixed use districts and also our R3. As part of that, we created new design standards, much for the reason that we just discussed previously, is that we want higher quality development and we want these buildings to stand the test of time, so to say, especially when we're bringing a lot of these into built neighborhoods. The city, as part of that, we also knew that not every structure met the design standards of the mixed use neighborhood, mixed use community, R2 and R4. And we were okay with that because essentially at that point, they're grandfathered in, they're allowed to be there, and there is no concern with that. We've been presented with a question from a citizen that is currently in a commercial district that has no design standards. It is an existing structure. And they want to rezone into one of our districts that does have design standards. So as a matter of interpretation for how we should proceed with design standards, we wanted to bring this to the Plan Commission and get your feedback. So presented in the packet are 4 different scenarios. The first is if it's a vacant parcel, much like what just occurred, the new property owner will have to adhere to all aspects of the associated design. They'll have to follow all the rules and essentially put into effect what we've created. The second is if there's an existing structure on a parcel, but it gets removed. Maybe they merge 2 parcels together, or they take down an old single family home and they build something new in its place. At that point, they would have to be required to, again, adhere to all aspects of eliminating design standards. The following two scenarios 3 and 4 are when there is an existing structure on a parcel that during our citywide rezoning process, they were rezoned into it. So they're grandfathered in. They do not meet all of the standards today. We're saying today that the property owner is exempt unless one of the both occur. If they put a 50% or greater addition adding to the overall square footage, at that point, we would want them to do an exterior remodel of the entire area. Or if they're doing 50% of the value of the structure for a remodeling effort. Note, in the event of an active God, like tornado or fire, the owner would be encouraged but not required to adhere to design standards if that was not their choice. Scenario 4 is an existing structure on a parcel, much like what we have presented to us, that they want to rezone into this. As the structure is already built, they've already been paying taxes on it, they're established in our community. We would recommend that the property owner be exempt unless, again, one of the both occur. 50% of an addition occurs to the overall square footage, or 50% of the value of the structure for a modeling effort. And those two, they would require to dive into our standards. Otherwise, we would allow them to continue to be grandfathered. So I'm looking for your opinions and thoughts on these 4 scenarios. And if you agree or have recommendations to change them, that is how city staff will move forward when we get new development presented in these areas.
Okay, do we have anyone who would like to comment? Craig, go ahead first.
Yeah, I mean, scenario number 4 is very consistent with what, let's pick signage for that. You change 50% or more on a non-conforming sign, you have to bring it into conformance entirely. And I think that's consistent with that type of philosophy. So I think we carry through with that, we go with that.
And that is where we came up with the 50% rule. It wasn't just the number that we've achieved. It's often used in terms of that conforming structures. So we wanted to be consistent with the remainder of the ordinance.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Jan?
Would their zoning, like this one you said is a commercial property, would their zoning remain commercial, or would they be able to actually change this without change to one of these?
So if you approve this procedure moving forward, we would likely in the near future see a business that is established that would come forward to rezone to one of these districts, but they do not meet the standards and they're not intending of doing any sort of addition or remodel projects, so they would be allowed to be grandfathered.
What is the current one?
It's, I believe, B2. So what's unique about that particular property is it's actually surrounded by residential. So by going to what the intention is of mixed use district, the city actually gets more control and the neighborhood is better off due to the lesser, it's essentially a down zoning for them, that they have lesser uses that they would have access to, which in hindsight is easier for the neighborhood.
I'm assuming they're probably planning on doing something or someone in this not too distant future that they want that flexibility.
Correct.
So, and like you say, creating that type of a buffer, I think the transitional buffer is probably a smart thing to do.
How do you compute the value? You adjust it according to inflation and stuff?
We would go off the assessed value that's
The
provided.
assessed value, okay,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking of extreme example, the in-laws of my daughters, they built their house and bought it that in San Fernando Valley years ago for $30,000. That same house today was selling today for well over $600,000. So you would use the $600,000 as the value for the 50%, not the 30. You know, the
Correct.
difference there.
We would use the most recent assessed value on.
Okay, so you're not making somebody stuck for what they paid for.
No.
Okay.
And in the same token, we're actually allowing them to further invest into their structure, which is what we want as a community to encourage.
Yeah, I was very concerned about, people not improving things.
Mhm.
As you know, where it is now, when you do something, the assessed value goes up and your taxes go up. So it kind of disincentive to making improvements.
Any other comments? Questions? suggestions? Okay, so do you need to have this passed?
Nope,
Or
I'm
just
just
a head nod?
essentially, straw poll, like, yes, everyone agrees with this, that you're acceptable with these 4 scenarios, and if so, we will proceed accordingly.
Thank you for explaining it in a way that was easy for us to understand.
Sure.
We have to spend an hour having her explain it.
I was gonna try to make her do that, but.
Enough questions.
So therefore, we'll have to get to question number 7, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Craig, seconded by Tom to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The time is 7:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Two things right there.